Hello, thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Howe. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia, and this is my regular Sunday Facebook Live. Now, I know that you're seeing a box. It's a kit. I'm about to show it to you, but it's not what we're making today. I will get to the card that we're making, but I'm just going to take you through the process of how I got to make or decide to make the card that we're making today. So yes, it is cased off this kit, but it is pretty different. So starting off, this is a new kit that was available from the beginning of the month. It's called Pretty Party, and I have to say that I love this kit. It's probably one of my favorite kits ever, and knowing how many kits there are, that's saying something. So let me just move that. These are the cards in the kit. It's really easy to put together, but it's all these beautiful sparkly balloons, and love this kit. So that was my starting point, and then I don't know whether you'll be able to see what I'm seeing, but hopefully once I've explained it to you, you'll actually understand where we're at. So when I looked at this card, I saw a shaker card. Don't know whether you can see it or not, but I saw a shaker card. And before I show you my card, I was going to use the balloon Festoon bundle, which is one of the new ones, and I have to say one of the ones that I love. Those are the dies, those are the stamps. So you've got fun stamps. These sentiments are lovely. I love the fonts. You'll be seeing lots of balloon cards from me lately because I really like them. And then when I was thinking, okay, what am I going to use for balloons? I thought Vellum is really good for balloons because it gives that sort of translucent look. And guess what? Product of the month this month is the very Botanical Vellum. So it looks like everything was playing into my hands here. So place your order for $125 and you can get the Vellum for $9. And if I just do a little fish in here, there is a fourth design as well, which is a little bit more spaced out but also floral. So now that we know where the idea came from and what we are using, let me show you the card that we're making. Here we go, yay! So shaker card with that vellum and those balloons. Now, the colours here are probably not as exciting as the colours in the kit, but the reason for that is that I was going with the colours in the vellum. So we are using Strawberry Slush, Fresh Freesia and Peaceful Pine. Alright, so let's get busy making this card. I just needed to grab a piece of well stamped on scrap paper because we are going to be stamping off. Just try to put my card where you can sort of see it. Alright, now it doesn't matter which colour you start with. So I'm going to start with Strawberry Slush just because that's what I did before, but it really makes no difference. Now with the Strawberry Slush, and when we get to it, the Peaceful Pine, I stamped off just because I want it to be a bit lighter, that it looks a bit more balloony, but you don't have to stamp off if you like the darker colours. And you can see I'm not fussing about that because, hey, that's what balloons do. And let's just stamp another one at the bottom here. And before I put my Strawberry Slush away, I'm going to just, while we're busy here, stamp the insert as well. I was looking for my chamois because I knew that I had it here, but I couldn't find it. Next, I'm going to stamp with my Fresh Freesia. And my Fresh Freesia is quite pale, so this one I'm not stamping off. Just going to stamp the Fresh Freesia one there. And then on here, I'm just filling in spots. And lastly, the Peaceful Pine. Now, I'm sure you know by now, the Peaceful Pine is the new stamp pad, so it is one of the magnetic ones, and it's felt. It's not foam anymore, so that means that it holds onto the ink a bit more than the foam pads did. So if you're getting a good stamp, you want to just give it a little twist rather than just tap tap. And again, stamping off with the green. Not going to be too concerned about inking it up nicely because, like I said, I'm fine with the balloons being a little bit off, maybe a little bit less off than that one was. Okay, there we go. I managed to fix that. Yay. May just do one more over here. And one more there. All right, now I see that there are people with me, but Facebook doesn't always play nicely with me. So if you are commenting, comments aren't coming up. So I'm not ignoring you, I'm just not seeing them. If there's anything that you needed me to reply to, I will reply to you when I can actually see the comments. All right, now we're going to take our string and my crumb cake, and I'm just going to stamp some of these strings in where it looks like balloons need strings. I see I rocked the stamp there, which is not ideal, but I'm not going to stress about it because I'll cover that up. Okay, so just wherever I've got the, oops, that one stamped really badly. Okay. I'm trying to get it like over the tie bit of the balloon, but it doesn't look like I'm doing a very good job on all of them. Okay, one more over here. And I think all my balloons there where we can see obvious bits have strings attached to them now. All right, so that's most of our stamping done. Now what we're going to do is taking, I think it's the 4th and 5th largest Everyday Arches dies. We're going to place them here, so roughly in the middle-ish. No, so just the 4th one, okay? The 5th one is for the frame afterwards. And we're going to cut that out. Now, because I hate die cutting on camera, here's one I prepared earlier. And I wanted a few extra sparkles just because my sample card had all the sparkles on it. So I'm going to grab my embossing, and I don't know whether we actually need to use the embossing buddy because if there are a few extra speckles, it really doesn't matter. But it's just a habit. So, okay, it's one of these days where I'm losing my mind because I'm looking like crazy. Where did I put my Versamark? And it's sitting right here in front of me now. The difficult thing with this is I can't see where I'm stamping the Versamark, so hopefully I'm not going too over each other. And let's Let me just throw my gold embossing powder on. There we go. That one I think I actually stamped better than my sample one, because in the sample one I did actually stamp a few over each other, but this one looks good. Okay, let me grab my heat tool. I don't normally do this on camera, but I had to do this today. So 1 second, I'm going to quickly go and heat this. There we go. So we have some beautiful confetti and dots in the background. And now I've got a piece of window sheet which I've cut with that same Everyday Artist die. And I'm going to take some foam strips and we're going to just place the foam strips going around the arch. Now this, you actually want those foam strips really close to each other, no gaps in between, because you don't want your shaker, your shaky bits to be able to come out. And these are good because they can bend around the arch, so just play with them nicely. And I am keeping it quite close to the edge. That's okay if the peel's coming off. And my last little bit going around the top of the arch here. Deep concentration for this. There we go. Okay, now my shaker bits that I'm using, and I don't do this often, but they are retired. They're the gold shaker stars, which were available in that September to December catalogue. Oops, and you can see all my bits for my balloons I put in here just so that they would all be together and in the right place. So just try and grab them out. I probably should have thought of that before we started, but that's okay. And yes, there are lots more than I need because I was just cutting and cutting, because these actually cut two and they go in different directions, so I just cut in case I needed extra. And then I'm going to just take a few of my stars. So you can use whatever you've got on hand. If you still have some of these, I think that these are really fun for this. Otherwise, any shaker bits, or just cut out little bits and pieces from whatever dies, or if you've got any tiny punches, just anything that's going to be exciting to shake inside in. You want a few, but not too many, because you don't want it overly shaken. And then we're going to peel this off. And stick the arch that I'd cut out onto the back of it. Now you may ask me, why am I doing that? Couldn't I have just stuck it directly onto the piece of paper? And my answer is yes, but for me it's easier to work with a piece of paper that's going to seal the shakers in than try and get it lined up correctly on a piece of paper and get it straight and everything. So for me, this is the easier way of doing it. But if you prefer to do it another way, then you can do that. And there we go. Now, of course, we don't want to see those bits poking out because that just looks ugly. So my card base for this one, I'm going to go with the Peaceful Pine just to make it a little bit different to my other one. And I've die cut a frame. Now this is where I was using the 4th and the 5th arch die. So we're just going to cut it and put that one inside it so that I've got that little edge. If you want it bigger, you can go 2 down, but this was fine to cover the foam strip. Sorry, suddenly my brain decided it didn't know what word I wanted to use. So gentle with the glue, and then we're going to stick that on. Alright, and you just need to baby it a little bit and be a bit patient because it doesn't stick as quickly to the window sheet as it does to paper. So just be patient and it will stay there. Let's just put that aside for a second and we'll work on the actual card. So this is now easy, just assembly. So let's stick my insert inside. I mean, I know that this card has pink in it, but I thought if we're using green, it's maybe a bit more masculine, so you could give it to a man, as opposed to the other one, which that fresh freesia is maybe a bit more girly. And of course you could do a strawberry slush one, which I probably will do because, hey, pink makes everything better. We know my life is all about pink and sparkly. And then I'm going to put glue on the back of my arch over here. I will maybe get rid of that dimensional backing, because hey, those have to be everywhere too. And then that's going to just fit back in exactly where it came out of, and you can actually feel it when it's sitting in its correct place. Okay, so there we go, and we've got all our shaky bits going where we want them to go. Let's bring this one back in so that you can see where we're at. Now, after I'd stuck this one, I decided that I maybe wasn't 100% happy with it because maybe my balloons would actually look better with some strings on them. So I have cut some strings, and I thought I had more strings. It looks like I've got 2. I thought I had more, but anyway. Let me just get, here we go. See, I did have more. They were just hiding away from me. So I'm not going to put a string on the balloon that's going on the bottom just because I don't think it needs it, and because I'm using green, when I say green, I mean a green card base. I'm going to put a green balloon on the bottom over here. So we've got these little bits which are sort of where your light would be coming from, and I don't think that there's a particular right or wrong side that they need to stick onto, but we're going to put one wherever I feel like, and then if I'm putting my balloons, I'll put them that way this time. So just because, and I don't know whether this is right or wrong, it maybe should be that side, but I don't know. Do you think that they should all be coming from the same side, or can we be having it different sides? I suppose it should really be the same side because the light on a whole bunch of balloons would be coming from the same side. Okay, now I'm just sorting through, and I think that I'm just about to give up on this because there sort of is a right side and a wrong side where I can feel where the edge is, where it's been cut, but I think that if I flip it over, nobody's actually going to know whether it's the right side or the wrong side. You're not obviously going to see it, so let's just, that one has to go that way. It's a wrong side one, alright. Stick that one there. Might have been a little bit heavy-handed with the glue there, but alright, I'll try not to be as heavy-handed with the next ones. And we don't want too much glue squishing all over. Oops, that one's a bit gluey again. And I'm going to stick strings on my balloons this time. Now these strings are pretty long, so they will be cut down, but we'll sort that out in a minute. Gluey fingers. Guess that's the one thing with getting glue all over everything. It's all over my fingers too. Which is fine, except when you're gluing such tiny little bits, then it makes it not that easy. Now, as usual with vellum, our issue is that we don't want glue obviously behind the vellum because then you're going to see it showing through. So here we're going with teeny tiny pieces. So I'm going to start with my back balloon, which this time I said was the green, and I'm putting a mini dimensional just behind that shining light, but at the same time I just need to make sure that that dimensional is above, and I just changed my mind because as I did that I realized that I forgot to tell you about the slight issue that we have here, and that is that the foam strips are actually slightly higher than the dimensionals. So I don't actually like it with the dimensionals because it's that tiny little bit lower than my shaker. So I'm going to just cut my foam strip and put it behind. It's very hard to get backings off with glue all over your fingers, but okay, so there we go. And I'm probably going to cover this up, but just in case, oops, I'm going to put a tiny dot of glue behind my string as well, just to hold that in place. And then I'm going to take the next one. Now, I've been putting the one that's got the berries and things on it in front just because I don't want to hide it. And I'll just tell you that I was quite strategic when I was cutting that, and you can probably see I've got bits and pieces all over. So I actually positioned my balloon exactly where I wanted or what picture I wanted on it. So just remember that you can do that, that you get things where you want them. Okay. And yeah. Stick. And now my last balloon is going to be sticking on here. So I'm not actually going to put any of the foam strip behind it. I'm just going to try and get a bit of glue behind where I have pieces that it's not going to show through. So like I said to you, you do have to be quite strategic, and you do just have teeny tiny little bits that are actually holding those balloons onto your card. Get rid of that last little foam strip that doesn't want to leave my finger. And then I'm actually going to push my strings together because I do want them all sitting together. So let's just put a tiny dab of glue behind the bottom of the strings. I want my balloons to be bunched together, not all just floating up on their own. Got to tell a story when you make a card. Do you ever do that? Think about all the elements that are fitting together and what they're doing with each other. I tend to do that all the time. Alright, so there we go. My balloons are now friends. Just want that glue to set, but we can cut off bits there. And then I did stamp, heat emboss and fussy cut my happy birthday. So we've got that. And no dimensionals needed here. We're going to just glue that across the front of the card. You can go over the strings. And lastly, my last balloon, where again I'm going to just put some glue behind the light bit and stick that at the bottom. Alright, and that's my card. So I think it's really fun. I actually quite like it with the green as well, and green isn't usually my go-to colour, so that's interesting. And let me just pull in. So that was our inspiration. That's my take on that. And then, just because I could, and you know, once you get something in your head, you may get a little bit obsessed with it. So I took this card from that kit and made that into a shaker card. So there we go. There's that one. So what I did is I cut my card in half. Okay, I will do something with that back piece, but that'll show you at a later stage. Cut it down a little bit so that it fitted onto my standard card base. I cut the smaller arch, so the one that we'd used for the inside of the frame, just because that was cutting away too much of my card. Out of the middle here, cut a gold frame because we've got so much gold in the card. Did my whole shaker bit thing. You can see all my little shaker things are there. Hopefully you can see them floating around. And then I went and stuck the balloons on exactly where they were on the card. With this one, I did have to cut it down a little bit just because I'd cut down the front of the card. So there we go. My take on the card and an alternative version of the one in the kit. I hope you've enjoyed this. Give it a try. Like I said, this kit is beautiful. I absolutely love it. And like, don't have to make all the cards exactly as they are in the kit, although they are gorgeous in the kit. And have fun. If you make the cards, please show me what you've made. And have a good week. If you're in Melbourne, try to stay warm and dry. We've got lots of rain and it's getting cold again. And I will see you again next week. Until then, have a good week. Bye for now.